invite you to settle into a quiet space, somewhere soft, somewhere where the world loosens its grip on you. Here on Fall Asleep to Science, we drift together into stories made of starlight and gentle curiosity. And this evening we follow a visitor that has crossed unimaginable distances. A small cold traveler called 3I, divided by Atlas, moving silently through our solar system at the very moment the sun grows restless. As you listen, let your shoulders soften, let your breath slow. The universe moves at its own pace, and for a little while you are allowed to join it. Scientists believe that something unusual is unfolding above us. They have been watching the sun flare again and again, each eruption brighter than the one before, as if some quiet rhythm is pulsing deep inside our star. And during this same moment in time, 3I, divided by Atlas, drifts through the inner system, passing close to the sun, carving a pale arc through the light. It is thought that this visitor may have begun its journey long before Earth formed, wandering between stars until fate carried it here. When astronomers first noticed it, Atlas looked like a faint point, hardly different from the countless dots sprinkled across the sky. But as telescopes stared deeper, stacking image upon image to draw out its subtle glow, a thin coma appeared, then a tail, then delicate jets, rising from a place no one can see. Something dormant was waking as sunlight touched its ancient surface. And slowly, gently, 3I, divided by Atlas, turned into a whisper of motion across the night. Breathe in and breathe out. Let the darkness above you settle like calm water. It is believed that the sun, in its own way, is watching too. The same days that Atlas brushed by perihelion, the sun released powerful flares, each one sending ripples across the entire system. These waves, made of charged particles and tangled magnetic fields, flow outward like slow tides. Some drift toward Earth, brushing gently across our magnetic shield. Others sweep toward the region where Atlas is gliding, as though two distant travelers are passing through the same invisible storm. None of this is a warning, and none of it is a threat. It is simply the quiet behavior of a living star, and a wandering object responding to its warmth. Avi Loeb and other researchers speak softly about these patterns, noting possibilities without fear. They suggest that maybe in rare moments like this, the geometry of the planets, the timing of the flares, and the path of a visitor can overlap into something worth observing. Slowly, carefully, and without hurry. As you rest, imagine the solar system turning like a vast, slow clock. Each planet moves along a curve set long ago, and Atlas, born from somewhere beyond this sun, is drifting through the spaces between those curves, neither hurried nor delayed. The light that touches Atlas is older than the memories of our world. It has crossed oceans of emptiness, crossed the paths of other stars, crossed regions where magnetic winds flow in patterns we cannot yet predict. When that light reaches Atlas, it warms frozen dust, releasing it into space in faint veils. The coma grows wider, like a soft lantern seen through morning fog. The tail extends, as if tracing the direction of the sun's breath. And if you listen closely, you can almost feel that breath, steady and patient, shaping the traveler's form. Take a slow inhale and let it fall gently away. Astronomers describe this moment as a kind of awakening. Atlas is responding to heat, to gravity, to the solar wind curling around it. Some scientists think its nucleus may be small, only a few kilometers wide. Others believe it could be larger, heavier, carrying a deeper history of ice and rock from a place we have never visited. No one knows for certain. And that uncertainty brings a gentle wonder, the kind that reminds us how much of the universe is still waiting in silence. Now, imagine a single telescope somewhere in the mountains. Its dome slides open. Cold air rushes in. Inside, a mirror cools as it points toward the region of sky where Atlas is drifting. Each exposure captures only a handful of photons, tiny messengers that left the comet minutes ago. They land softly on the detector one by one, building a faint portrait of something ancient. Everything slows. Everything quiets. As the telescope gathers its light, the Earth spins beneath it, turning the mountains slowly into night. And somewhere above that turning atlas continues to glide through a space shaped by the sun's magnetic tides. These tides rise and fall, forming invisible currents that braid around the planets. Some feel strong, others are soft, barely noticeable. An atlas moves through them, all adjusting its halo of dust, the way a small boat adjusts to currents on a calm sea. You can let your breath mirror that motion, smooth, slow, unforced. There is a theory, gentle, speculative, that solar storms moving past comets can reshape their tails. The magnetic field can tighten, twist, or even sever a tail in a brief moment, causing it to drift away before a new one forms. It is believed that this might happen to Atlas as well, depending on how the next wave of solar wind folds across its path. Nothing dangerous, nothing violent, only the soft mechanics of a star interacting with a traveler. Somewhere deep inside its coma, the nucleus of Atlas continues to release faint gas. That gas carries dust into space. The dust catches sunlight, and the sunlight sends a soft, pale glow back to Earth. That glow reaches your eyes, even if you have never seen it directly, because your imagination can hold the shape of anything you choose. Pause and breathe again, letting the universe gently expand around you. Tonight, as you listen, Atlas is still out there, silent, drifting, patient. The sun still exhales storms into the darkness. Earth still rotates under your resting body. And somewhere between them all, we explore these quiet questions together. This is not a warning. This is not fear. It is simply a story about how the sky moves, how distant objects pass through our lives, and how even the smallest wanderer can remind us that the universe is still full of mysteries, still unfolding, still humming softly above us. Let your breath fall into that rhythm. Slow, steady, timeless. And when you are ready, we will continue deeper into this journey. More flares, more alignments, more secrets, held in the silence around 3. I, divided by Atlas, all waiting patiently for you. The flare-lit solar system, the quiet motion of Atlas, and the beginning of deeper facts. As we drift further into the story, imagine the night around you settling even more deeply. The room becomes softer, the air a little quieter, and your breath starts to match the slow rhythm of the cosmos itself. In that stillness, the sun continues its gentle pulsing, releasing waves of light and energy into the darkness. And somewhere ahead of those waves, 3 I divided by Atlas drifts, unhurried, untouched by anything except the soft breath of a star. Scientists believe that the recent flares from the sun may be some of the strongest of the cycle, rising in brightness and fading again like the slow flare of a lantern. They are not directed, not intentional, but natural expressions of magnetic tension inside the sun's surface. These flares send ripples through space, faint at first, then spreading, losing shape as they drift outward. It is thought that Atlas crossed near these invisible tides, just close enough to feel the touch of a solar storm passing through the region where it moves. For a moment, picture that storm as a glowing curtain sweeping through the inner solar system. The planets continue their motion, unaffected in their orbits. Earth rotates quietly, letting auroras shimmer at its poles, and Atlas hangs like a tiny grain of dust in this luminous sea. The solar wave does not strike harshly. It brushes, presses, then slides gently past, leaving behind a brief rearrangement of magnetic fields that wrap around the comet. Take a calm breath and imagine that curtain flowing around you, just as it flows around Atlas. Astronomers think that when such a wave crosses the comet's environment, the coma, its envelope of gas and dust, may flutter as if caught in a breeze. The tail may bend or thin for a moment. The fine streamers emerging from the hidden nucleus might twist slightly before settling again. All of it is delicate, almost like watching a candle flame react to a distant shift in air. Nothing breaks, nothing is lost. The comet simply continues onward, shaped for a moment by forces far larger than anything on Earth. It is believed that these interactions have happened to many comets before, though rarely are we watching closely enough to see them unfold in real time. But with Atlas, every detail feels amplified because it is not from here, not tied to our star, not part of the familiar family of icy travelers that loop around the sun again and again. Atlas is different. A visitor on a one-time journey crossing our skies, only once in its long existence. Breathe slowly, and let that uniqueness settle in your thoughts. Now imagine the geometry of the solar system around the moment Atlas passed perihelion. The inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, move along nearly the same plane, tracing almost perfect rings of motion. Atlas cuts across these rings on a steep angle, a foreign path from a foreign origin. For a few brief weeks, its trajectory threads between the planetary orbits, almost like a needle weaving through the delicate fabric of our system. Some astronomers say that during this time, the alignment of certain planets formed a pattern rarely seen, a long chain of worlds stretching along a single axis. Others describe it simply as an interesting coincidence. But the presence of Atlas moving through this arrangement gives the moment a quiet beauty, the sense that something rare is unfolding, even if it is only a passing shape drawn by gravity. Let your breath soften as you picture those orbits like soft glowing rings floating in space. From Earth, the view of Atlas remains subtle. Small telescopes record only a faint dot, unless they take long, careful exposures. Each exposure captures a slight shift in the comet's tail, a whisper of the coma spreading outward. When these frames are stacked, aligned precisely on Atlas's motion, the stars blur into streaks, while the comet grows sharper, clearer. It is believed that this technique reveals jets, thin fountains of dust that rise from the nucleus in patterns shaped by sunlight. Even in silence, Atlas is telling a story through its shape. Meanwhile, far below Earth experiences its own responses to the sun's activity. Radio waves tremble in the atmosphere. Auroras ripple lightly across the edges of the world. This is not unusual, but the timing has drawn attention. The flares seem to cluster together, occurring near the same hour on different days, almost like notes repeating in a melody. Researchers observing this rhythm wonder whether the timing is simply chance, or whether deeper patterns in the sun's rotation and Atlas's position are overlapping in subtle ways. Nothing is certain. Nothing needs to be. You can imagine the sun as a slow-turning torch, sending pulses of brightness across space each time a particular region rotates into view. And somewhere in that wide rotation, Atlas happens to drift through the illuminated path like a traveler, wandering through a beam of sunlight. Take another slow breath and let the idea settle gently. As the sun releases these pulses, the solar wind grows restless. Scientists think that the radiation belts wrapped around Earth shift slightly, adjusting to the new flow of particles. In some cases, temporary belts form thin rings of charged particles that appear for a time before dissolving back into the background. These changes happen high above the atmosphere, invisible from the ground, but they create a subtle reminder that Earth is wrapped in a dynamic living field, connected to the space around it. Atlas, drifting much farther out, is not touched directly by these belts, but it moves through the broader region shaped by the same solar wind, the same magnetic threads the same long pulse of energy crossing the system. In a gentle way, it shares the same environment as our planet, just from a distance, like two boats crossing the same ocean along different currents. There is comfort in that thought. The idea that Earth and Atlas, though separated by millions of kilometers, feel the same breath of the sun, the same faint tides of energy. Let your breath follow that motion, slow and steady. The days pass. Observers wait for new images, new angles, new signs of how Atlas is changing. Some nights, clouds cover the view. Other nights, the moon washes out the faint glow. Data arrives slowly, often delayed by the careful process of calibration. The silence between new updates can feel almost like the quiet between breaths. But Atlas keeps moving, unrushed, unconcerned, carving its path through the solar wind like a dancer, tracing a single line through a vast dark hall. And you, listening now, drift beside it, letting your thoughts loosen, letting the noise of the day fall away, letting the universe cradle you gently as we continue deeper into this cosmic story. The awakening of the comet, the deepening of the solar winds, and quiet facts woven into calm reflection. As we move into the next part of this quiet journey, allow the space around you to feel even gentler. The night has its own way of settling, and in that settling, the story of three, I divided by Atlas, continues to unfold like a soft ribbon, unspooling through the dark. Nothing rushes here, nothing demands your attention. Everything simply moves quietly and patiently, just as the universe always has. It is believed that after Atlas passed perihelion, its structure began to change in subtle but beautiful ways. Before it rounded the sun, many telescopes struggled to capture anything more than a faint star-like point. But as it drifted back outward, warmed just enough by the sun's light, the coma widened, forming a hazy sphere around the nucleus. It glowed softly, as if the comet were breathing, expanding with each moment that sunlight touched its icy surface. Imagine this glow as a kind of gentle lantern drifting through space, lit not by fire but by scattered sunlight dancing through dust. The tail, once hidden by the angle of observation, began to stretch outward more clearly. From Earth, the changing geometry allowed the tail to drift sideways on the sky, separating just enough from the coma for its shape to be visible. It is thought that this shift reveals more than brightness. It reveals the direction of the solar wind, the unseen river that flows away from the sun at every moment. Breathe in and let it slow, like dust, floating in a quiet beam of light. Scientists observing Atlas describe its appearance now as more structured, more expressive. Thin jets appear in long-exposure images, fragile filaments emerging from near the hidden nucleus. These jets are believed to be caused by sunlight, warming different patches of the comet's surface, releasing gas and dust in narrow streams. The jets twist, fade, and return again, tracing the soft choreography between Atlas and the changing warmth around it. Every new image feels like a gentle reminder that even the smallest traveler in space can respond to the sun's rhythm. Meanwhile, far away on Earth, people watching the sun have noticed something curious. The recent X-class flares have not only been strong, they have been unusually rhythmic. They erupted near the same hour on different days, almost as though the sun were ringing a bell over and over again. This bell, however, rings with light, with charged particles, with invisible waves spreading across the solar system. Some scientists think the timing is simply the natural rotation of the sun exposing the same active region repeatedly. Others feel a quiet sense of wonder, noting that Atlas was passing through nearby regions of space during those same moments. It is not a cause, not an effect, simply a coincidence that feels worth observing with calm curiosity. Take another slow breath and let the rhythm of those flares echo gently inside your thoughts. As the solar waves spread further outward, they meet not only Atlas but also the invisible structures surrounding Earth. High above the surface, far beyond clouds and weather, the radiation belts shimmer with trapped particles. When strong solar activity arrives, these belts stretch and shift like soft glowing rings around the planet. It is believed that after major storms, new temporary belts can form lasting days or weeks before dissolving again. Though Atlas is far beyond these regions, the same solar wind that shapes Earth's magnetic layers reaches out to meet the comet as well. In this way, both Earth and Atlas are touched by the same breath of the Sunday. One feels it as shimmering lights at the poles. The other feels it as a gentle pull on its tail. You can let that connection soften your own breath, linking you quietly to the same cosmic heartbeat. As days pass, astronomers continue to capture new images. But not all nights are generous. Sometimes the sky clouds over. Sometimes the moon glows too brightly. Sometimes the comet sinks behind the horizon just as the telescope is ready. And in those moments, the absence of new images becomes its own kind of silence, not worrying, not urgent, simply part of the slow rhythm of celestial observation. It is believed that data often arrives with long delays passing through instruments, servers, and careful review. By the time the world sees a new image, Atlas may already have drifted far beyond that captured moment. The delay becomes a gentle reminder that the universe moves at its own pace, unbothered by our eagerness. Breathe gently, allowing that patience to settle within you. As Atlas continues, outward scientists begin to notice something unusual in its path. The sun's recent activity has caused subtle disturbances in the solar wind, and the comet may now be passing through regions where magnetic fields twist and fold. These shifts can influence the shape of Atlas's tail, causing it to bend or ripple in ways that are visible only to the most persistent observers. Some comet tails have even been known to disconnect entirely during such events, drifting away like a scarf caught in the breeze. It is believed that Atlas might experience something similar, though nothing dramatic, just a brief shedding of dust before a new tail grows in its place. This too is a natural part of a comet's life. Imagine that tail drifting behind Atlas like a long pale brushstroke painted across the dark. Meanwhile, as Earth experiences its own subtle changes from the sun's bright outbursts, small seismic patterns appear along the coast of Japan. A gentle cluster of offshore earthquakes trembles through the crust during the same window of solar activity. Experts remain calm, noting that swarms like this are common and not necessarily connected to what is happening above. But some observers quietly raise the question, could the timing be part of a larger rhythm? The same rhythm that Atlas is gliding through. Others simply shrug, accepting the coincidence without attaching meaning. The Earth moves constantly, the sun breathes irregularly, and Atlas drifts along a curve shaped long before humans began to wonder about it. Everything moves, everything continues, everything remains calm. Take another slow breath and let the Earth's steadiness hold you. As Atlas travels outward, the inner solar system shifts subtly. Planets continue their orbits. The sun continues to rotate. The comet's coma expands soft and luminous, like a small cloud following its own path. The geometry between Earth, the sun, and the comet changes day by day, creating new angles for telescopes and new patterns for observers to interpret. Nothing rushes, nothing strains. Everything simply unfolds, and you resting here are part of that unfolding. Your breath moves in rhythm with the quiet story of a visitor passing through our skies, shaped gently by solar winds, illuminated by starlight, and carried by the ancient momentum of its journey from another star. The deeper we go, the quieter the universe becomes, and the quieter you become with it. Planetary geometry, quiet cosmic choreography, and the softening of the night. As we drift deeper into this quiet exploration, imagine the solar system opening around you like a slow, luminous map. Every orbit becomes a gentle curve of light. Every planet becomes a soft lantern, gliding through the darkness. And somewhere within this moving design, I, divided by Atlas, continues its silent passage untouched by anything except time, gravity, and the faint breath of the Sunday. It is believed that in the weeks after Atlas rounded the Sun, the geometry of the inner planets shifted into an arrangement that scientists sometimes call rare. Jupiter, Earth, Mercury, Venus, and Mars drifted closer to a shared line, forming a long and delicate axis with the Sun at its center. These kinds of alignments do not change fate, and they do not create force, but they create patterns, and patterns often invite wonder. Let yourself breathe gently as you imagine these worlds lined up, each one floating in its quiet place. From above, if you could rise beyond the ecliptic, beyond the thin disk where most planets travel, you would see something graceful. The planets draw near the same corridor of space, forming an elegant sequence of glowing beads. Atlas does not fall perfectly along this line, but it moves through one edge of it like a tiny ember drifting across the border of a lantern's glow. Some scientists think of this moment as a coincidence written by orbital mechanics. Others feel it offers an unusual window, a moment when the combined arrangement of planets and the passage of a visitor overlap in a way worth watching. Either way, the scene is calm. There is no urgency, just the soft unfolding of celestial motion. Take a slow breath and imagine those planets turning with you. Near the Sun, something even more delicate happens. Mercury, Venus, and sometimes Mars slip into a moment called a chasme, a brief interval when they align almost directly between Earth and the Sunday. These alignments happen from time to time, but during this season, more than one planet reached that position. Some astronomers noted that Atlas was drifting outward through the same period, almost as if it were passing through a corridor shaped by these alignments. No force pulls it there, no intention guides it. It simply happens to be the right traveler in the right moment, and sometimes that is enough to inspire curiosity. As Earth continues along its orbit, the angle from which we view Atlas shifts. At first, the tail pointed almost directly away from us, nearly hidden in the glow of the coma. But as the geometry changed, the tail drifted sideways, revealing more of its curve. Long exposures captured subtle features, streamers, faint arcs, hints of dust bending in the solar wind. It is believed that this changing angle helps reveal the true shape of the tail, much like turning a crystal in sunlight reveals facets that were hidden moments before. Breathe gently, letting each detail unfold like a slow shimmer. Far above the world, space weather monitors continue to record the effects of the Sun's restless mood. The radiation belts surrounding Earth shift and ripple. Temporary belts, faint rings of trapped particles appear and fade. These features do not threaten the Earth below. They simply show how sensitive the space around us is to the Sun's touch. In some models, waves launched from these belts travel downward, gently nudging currents that flow high above the surface. These currents may shift auroras, adjust the flow of charged particles, or alter the soft boundaries between atmosphere and space. Atlas, far beyond this region, moves through a different layer of the Sun's influence. A wider, quieter ocean of particles drifting outward from the star. Both worlds feel the solar wind. Both worlds respond. Both continue on their way. Take another slow breath, as steady as Earth's rotation, as unhurried as the comet's passage. While Atlas moved through the region recently brushed by solar storms, people on Earth observed something else, unfolding far below the surface. Off the coast of Japan, seismographs detected a cluster of small and moderate earthquakes, a quiet swarm trembling along the edge of a major fault. These events were shallow, scattered, and gentle. Most seismologists spoke calmly, reminding people that such swarms happen often and do not necessarily predict anything larger. But to those watching both sky and Earth, the timing felt interesting. Solar storms, shifting magnetic fields, and planetary alignments had created a vivid backdrop, and the emergence of a seismic swarm during the same window added another layer to the story. No one claimed a direct connection. No one sounded an alarm. coincidence whispered softly through the scientific community, reminding everyone how dynamic our planet can be. You can let that idea settle, that Earth is alive, constantly adjusting, breathing in its own way. As Atlas drifts farther outward, the sun continues to send waves of light sweeping across the system. Some reach Earth, producing gentle auroras. Others flow toward Atlas, wrapping around the faint halo of its coma. It is believed that the magnetic fields in these waves can rearrange the plasma surrounding the comet, sometimes tightening and sometimes loosening their grip. To a distant observer, these changes might look like a slow shimmering around the nucleus, a subtle brightening or dimming of the dust that envelops the traveler. Imagine that shimmer now, soft, pale, drifting, like light rippling across water at dusk. New telescope images begin to arrive. Some come from mountain observatories. Others come from orbiting instruments with clearer skies and calmer views. But even the best images may show Atlas as a tiny point, a smudge of reflected sunlight, barely rising above the background. Only when the frames are layered together, aligned on the motion of the comet, does the real shape appear. This patient technique reveals the truth: the coma expanding the tail, stretching the jets, rising like fine brushstrokes drawn by sunlight. It is believed that Atlas is becoming more active as it travels, though its activity remains gentle, nothing like the dramatic outbursts seen in other comets. Its transformation is soft, gradual, like embers glowing more brightly when stirred by a warm breeze. Take a slow breath and let the softness of that imagery guide you deeper into calm. As each day passes, Atlas glides farther from the sun and closer to the outer regions of the inner system. Soon it will leave the domains where planets cluster together and drift into quieter, lonelier space. But its story continues to unfold, and the solar system continues to move, with its planets aligning, storms rising and fading, magnetic fields bending gently across millions of kilometers. You are part of that quiet unfolding. Your breath, your pulse, your thoughts, all drift with the flow of this story. And as night deepens, the journey continues, from solar flares to comet tails, from planetary alignments to the soft trembling of Earth's crust, all woven into the quiet rhythm of the cosmos, all carrying us deeper into wonder, deeper into peace, deeper into sleep. Solar pulses, cometary silence, and the soft breathing rhythm of the cosmos. As you settle into this next chapter, notice how the night around you feels even gentler now. The lights of the day have faded. Your thoughts have softened at the edges, and the world has become quieter, almost as quiet as the space through which three are divided by Atlas drifts. In that stillness, we return to the sun, which has begun to pulse in a way that captures the attention of astronomers across the world. It is believed that in a short span of days, the sun released 4 powerful flares, each one rising sharply, glowing with intensity, then fading back into its usual calm. These pulses, though separated across several days, occurred close to the same hour, almost like the repeated strike of a distant bell. The rhythm does not demand an explanation, but it invites wonder, especially as Atlas continued its slow journey through the same broad region of space. Take a breath, gentle, smooth, and let the idea of that cosmic rhythm drift quietly through you. Scientists watching these events noted how the pulses lined up like beads on a string. The solar flares, the radio disturbances on Earth, and the geometry of the planets all fell within a narrow window in time. Some researchers suggest that this pattern is simply the natural behavior of a star rotating through its active regions. Others wonder if the timing, the alignments, and the motion of Atlas share a more subtle connection. Not a cause, not an effect, but a resonance woven through the fabric of the system. Neither view needs to be correct. Both are gentle possibilities. Imagine now the sun at the center of everything, glowing, steadily rotating, slowly and releasing those bright pulses of energy into the surrounding darkness. Each pulse sends a wave into space, a soft, expanding ring of particles and magnetism. These waves drift outward, and one of them begins to move toward the region where Atlas glides. The wave does not hurry. It does not chase. It simply expands like ripples on a still pond. Take another slow breath, feeling that ripple flow past you just as it flows past the comet. Earth, meanwhile, sits off to one side of the wave, receiving only a glancing touch. Space weather forecasts suggest that the planet will experience a mild storm, nothing more than a gentle compression of the solar wind. But Atlas lies closer to the heart of the wave. Instruments aboard certain spacecraft, positioned between the Sun and the outer planets, record a sharp rise in particle speed and density. These signs hint at what the comet may be experiencing: a brief tightening of the magnetic fields around its coma, a soft rearrangement of the plasma that surrounds it. It is believed that a comet's tail can react dramatically to such events. Some tails kink, twisting into sudden bends. Others thin, until they look like faint threads of smoke. And in rare cases, a tail may disconnect entirely, slipping away from the nucleus, like a strand of dust cut loose from its source. The comet never notices. It continues forward, and a new tail begins to grow. In the following days, imagine Atlas drifting through that wave, calm and unchanged, like a small boat passing through a gentle tide. Breathe, and let that image rest softly in your mind. While these solar waves move outward, the rest of the solar system continues its own quiet choreography. A few days after Atlas rounded the Sun, another comet, AS6 Lemon, swept through perihelion. Its path crossed the same quadrant of the inner system that Atlas had just left behind. And further ahead in the calendar, yet another comet, T1. Atlas approached the Sun from a slightly different angle. To those who map the sky, the coincidence is subtle but beautiful. 3 comets passing near the Sun in close sequence, each tracing its own luminous arc through the same bright arena. The Sun's active region rotating across its surface faces first the position of Atlas, then the place where Lemon turns, then the place where T1 Atlas approaches. It is believed that the Sun does not react to comets, but the timing is poetic, a soft dance of ice and fire, unfolding across the weeks. Let your breath move gently with the thought of these comets weaving past one another through the same star-lit corridor. Seen from above, the diagram is simple. The Sun glows at the center. The planets draw their orbits like pale rings. Atlas cuts across these rings on a steep path. Lemon sweeps just behind it. T1 Atlas threads ahead on another glowing line. This quiet procession, set against the backdrop of a restless sun, feels like a scene drawn with delicate strokes of light. And you, resting now, are drifting through that same scene, guided not by urgency but by wonder. Take a slow breath in and let it settle softly out. Observers watching these events note that the flares, the alignments, the shifting magnetic fields, and the motion of Atlas all share a similar window in time. Some describe it as coincidence. Others see it as a gentle pattern, the kind that invites reflection rather than certainty. From the perspective of Atlas, nothing feels unusual. It continues moving along its precise gravitational curve, unaware that the Sun is flaring behind it, or that planets are aligning in delicate rows. This neutrality, the quiet persistence of the comet, becomes part of its beauty. As the wave from the X4 flare nears the region of Atlas's path, models predict that the densest part of the solar pulse will pass just ahead of, or just behind, the comet's current position. To space weather scientists, it means only that Atlas may experience a brief compression, followed by a slow return to equilibrium. To storytellers, it feels like a moment of passing contact, a brush of warmth, a stir of dust, a hint of motion, echoing across hundreds of millions of kilometers. Imagine that moment now, the wave passing, The comet drifting, everything quiet again. The solar wind relaxes, the magnetic fields unwind. The environment around Atlas grows still once more, and in that stillness you can feel your mind soften, your breath deepen, your body loosen into the quiet rhythm of the night. The universe keeps moving, Atlas keeps drifting, and you in this moment drift gently with it. The widening silence, the patient unfolding of cosmic motion, and the soft mystery that follows Atlas. As we settle deeper into this journey, imagine the solar system exhaling long, slow, and steady. The solar wind drifts outward, no longer shaped by the most recent flare, but slowly smoothing back into its usual rhythm. Somewhere within that rhythm, 3I divided by Atlas continues a small glowing traveler, moving through a space that seems quieter now, even though it is filled with motion. Take a gentle breath, feel it fall into place with the same slow ease as the comet's path. Scientists believe that after a strong solar pulse, the space around the sun reshapes itself. Magnetic fields stretch, unwind, and drift into new patterns. The plasma that once surged with intensity spreads out, becoming diffuse again. It is thought that Atlas now floats through a region where these changes are settling, like a small boat gliding through the calm that follows a receding tide. The comet itself does not react loudly. It doesn't flare, or break, or shatter. It simply adjusts quietly, naturally, as dust streams shift and the tail finds its new alignment in the softened wind. Long exposures from observatories begin to show the shape of this change. The tail, once straight, may now curve slightly, following the gentle bend of the magnetic field lines that ripple through the solar wind. The coma may appear a little more elongated, the dust streaming into space in a direction subtly altered by the passing storm. None of these changes are dramatic. They are delicate, almost like watching a candle flame sway in a room where someone has slowly opened a door. Breathe in and breathe out, as softly as that flame sways. Meanwhile, on Earth, the effects of the flare continue to move through the atmosphere. The ionosphere responds, first settling from its earlier disturbance. Radio signals return to their typical patterns. The auroras generated by the earlier wave begin to fade. Everything softens, becoming calm again. These gentle responses on Earth mirror the soft responses happening near Atlas. Two worlds feeling different parts of the same solar breath. One reacts with light in the sky. The other reacts with a subtle change in its dust. You can imagine now how connected everything is through this shared wind. Farther still, among the instruments scattered across orbit, spacecraft measure the tail end of the solar pulse. They detect the last lingering rise in particle density, the faint twist in the magnetic field, the slow return to baseline. These instruments, patient and silent, continue to watch the space where Atlas drifts, even if they cannot see the comet itself. It is believed that as the solar pulse fades, the region ahead of the comet becomes calmer, allowing Atlas to carve a more stable tail once again. The dust, now following a more gentle flow, creates a smoother and more predictable curve behind the nucleus. This new tail grows steadily, shaped by warmth and wind, much like a new branch of ice crystals forming inside a drifting snowflake. Take another slow breath and picture that delicate tail curling softly behind Atlas. Back on Earth, observers wait for clearer skies, hoping to catch the comet in its renewed form. Some nights feel promising. The air is crisp, the clouds have moved aside, and the moon is dark enough to reveal faint details. On those nights, long exposures show Atlas glowing with new clarity. The coma appears broader, the tail stretches further. The subtle jets, once difficult to see, now whisper faint lines of light in carefully processed images. Other nights are less generous. Thin clouds slide silently across the sky. Humidity softens the edges of faint stars. The moon rises earlier than expected. But even in these obscured moments, the comet continues on This is one of the quiet truths about the universe. It moves beautifully even when no one is looking. Let that thought settle into your breath. Simple, unforced, as gentle as the night around you. As Atlas drifts further from the sun, its motion slows slightly in the language of orbital rhythm. It is no longer accelerating toward the star, but easing outward again, following the same curve that brought it inward. It is believed that its trajectory remains hyperbolic, meaning it will not return. Once it leaves the inner solar system, it will continue outward forever, or until another star's gravity eventually nudges it into a new path billions of years from now. For now, it is still here, still visible, still glowing faintly like a pale ember carried on a cosmic breeze. Meanwhile, the planets maintain their graceful choreography. The earlier alignment continues to evolve, the axis stretching and shifting as each world progresses along its orbit. The long corridor formed by these alignments slowly widens, like a beam of light, expanding as dawn grows. Atlas drifts through the outer region of this evolving alignment, moving from a place of convergence to a place where the pattern slowly begins to loosen. Everything is changing, but nothing feels abrupt. Breathe gently and allow your thoughts to drift with that slow loosening. Earth, too, continues to experience small adjustments. The seismic swarm off Japan settles gradually, with fewer tremors each day. Scientists continue to observe, noting the gentle fade of activity. Some mention the timing again, acknowledging the overlap with solar flares and planetary geometry. But always with caution, always with calm. The Earth is a restless world. The Sun is a restless star, and coincidences are often just that, coincidences. Still, there is something poetic about the timing, something that fits the quiet beauty of this cosmic story. As Atlas glides outward, it begins to approach a region of space where the solar wind becomes slightly more diffuse. The dust in its tail spreads out more slowly, forming a broader and more graceful arc. The coma becomes a little softer, its glow more even. The jets, still whispering out from the nucleus, lose some of their earlier intensity as the comet cools again. It is believed that this cooling stage is gentle, like a soft breath, settling after a moment of brightness. You can imagine Atlas now as a small world of ice, breathing out the last warmth it gathered. Near the Sunday, the universe around it remains calm, a vast, dark expanse, sprinkled with stars that shimmer quietly against the black. The sun grows smaller in the comet's sky each day. The planets shift into new positions, and Atlas drifts on like a traveler moving through a long corridor of fading light. And as you listen, you drift with it. Your breath matches the steady rhythm of its motion. Your thoughts soften into the same silence that surrounds the comet. Nothing rushes here. Nothing worries. Everything simply glides. The slow unveiling of Atlas, the patience of deep space observation, and the calming truth hidden in faint light. As we continue this quiet journey together, imagine the night stretching out like a long velvet curtain. The stars grow softer, the air grows still, and the motions of the cosmos become gentle enough to follow with the ease of your own breath. In that vast stillness, 3I divided by Atlas keeps drifting outward, becoming slightly fainter with each passing day, yet somehow more beautiful as the darkness reveals more of its delicate structure. Take a slow breath and let the quiet widen around you. Astronomers watching Atlas often describe a curious experience. When they look at single raw frames, the kind captured in real time, the comet seems almost disappointingly ordinary. It appears as a faint, slightly elongated point of light, not much different from a distant star that has blurred from imperfect focus. Noise from the detector and the thin glow of the sky blend into the comet's faint signal, making it difficult to see anything meaningful at first glance. It is believed that this is one of the gentle truths of astronomy. Some of the most beautiful things in the universe hide beneath the threshold of a single moment. To reveal them, observers gather many frames, dozens, sometimes hundreds, each one a brief whisper of light from Atlas. These frames are later aligned on the comet's movement, rather than on the stars. When this stacking takes place, the background stretches out into streaks or vanishes into soft haze, while the comet's light adds up layer by layer into a clearer, fuller picture. You can imagine this process like collecting quiet thoughts throughout the day, allowing them to settle into a single understanding when night arrives. Breathe gently, letting your own thoughts soften into the same kind of clarity. As the stacked image forms, the structure of Atlas begins to appear. The coma brightens, the tail extends. Subtle variations in color or density become visible. Narrow streamers, those delicate jets, rising from near the nucleus, show themselves in faint but consistent patterns. None of these features exist in a single raw frame. They appear only when many fragile moments are combined. Scientists believe this teaches an important lesson about patience. Some truths cannot be seen instantly, but only through accumulation, quietly, slowly, one moment at a time. In a similar way, Atlas itself is revealing more of its nature as it drifts farther from the Sunday. The cooling begins slowly, like dusk settling across a quiet field. The jets weaken a little, though they continue to flicker with the last warmth stored inside the nucleus. The coma spreads outward more evenly. The tail becomes broader, less sharp, as dust particles separate gently into the solar wind. It is thought that Atlas is now entering a more peaceful stage of its journey, not as active as it was during perihelion, yet still glowing softly with momentum and memory. Take another breath, deep, slow, and imagine that glow fading gently into the dark. Meanwhile, across observatories around the world, researchers continue to study the data. Spacecraft stationed closer to the Sun send information about the magnetic environment Atlas has just passed through. Instruments measure how the solar wind has changed since the last major flare. Some readings show lingering disturbances like faint ripples left on the surface of a pond long after a stone has sunk. Others show calm, as if the system is slowly relaxing after a flurry of activity. These patterns, subtle as they are, help scientists trace the story of the space Atlas is moving through. They learn how waves of particles drift outward. They observe how fields weaken or strengthen. They study how dust behaves when pushed by these invisible currents. All of these observations create a quiet language, a language of motion, of change, of delicate forces, shaping the small traveler. And Atlas continues unbothered, unaltered in its purpose. The comet does not know it is being watched. It simply moves. Breathe softly, and allow that sense of simple motion to rest inside you. Night after night, new images are taken. Some reveal clearer jets. Others show a brighter tail. Some nights produce almost nothing at all. But each attempt adds one more frame to the story, one more layer of understanding, much like the stacked images that reveal the comet's true structure. Scientists know that discovery is rarely sudden. It is a quiet accumulation of small glimpses, small insights, small pieces that come together gently over time. It is believed that the story of Atlas follows this same pattern, slow, layered, patient. As the comet continues outward, Earth moves along its orbit, shifting the angle of observation. This changing perspective allows astronomers to see the comet from slightly different vantage points. Some angles highlight the coma, others emphasize the tail, others reveal the faint jets that stream from the nucleus like threads drawn out by the sun's warmth. You can imagine the comet turning slowly, revealing different sides of itself. In the same way a small crystal reveals new colors when rotated in a beam of light. Breathe deeply and let that changing light drift through your thoughts. At the same time, the solar system continues to experience subtle dynamics. The earlier planetary alignments begin to relax as each world continues its orbit. The corridor that once seemed narrow begins to widen. Chasmy moments fade, replaced by the ordinary spacing of planets along the ecliptic. Yet for a little while, Atlas remains within this remembered geometry, its path still overlapping with the soft gravitational and magnetic traces of those alignments. To some, the moment feels like a cosmic choreography, a dance nearly completed. To others, it is simply the natural evolution of orbital paths. But to us, lying quietly in the night, it feels like a gentle illustration of how everything moves, slowly, purposefully, beautifully. Take one more slow breath. As the days continue, the new images of Atlas begin to show a faint softening of the features that once appeared sharper near perihelion. The coma, now cooler, becomes more diffuse. The jets lose some of their earlier brilliance. The dust tail widens, becoming a serene, cloud-like extension of the nucleus. All of this marks the gentle transformation of a comet returning to the cold, returning to the long path that will eventually lead it out of the solar system. It is believed that Atlas will never return to this place. Its orbit is open, a path that will carry it away forever into the darkness between the stars. But while it remains here, it offers one quiet gift: the chance to watch a traveler that began its story in a different star system long before humans walked upon the Earth. And tonight, as you listen, you are part of that watching. Your breath moves softly in your chest. Your thoughts drift slowly, and the faint light of Atlas continues to glow across unimaginable distances. The journey is far from over, and the peace of the cosmos continues to unfold around you. The soft drift of Atlas through the changing light, the gentle echoes of solar activity, and the deepening quiet of the cosmic night. As we step into this next chapter, allow the world around you to feel even softer. The air settles, your thoughts loosen, and the darkness becomes a comforting blanket rather than an empty space. In that calm, we return to the silent traveler. 3. I divided by Atlas, now drifting farther from the sun, its glow quieter, but somehow deeper, as though the distance gives it a more peaceful voice. Take a slow breath and let the rhythm of the night guide you. In the days after the recent solar flares, scientists noticed something subtle, spreading through the solar system. The wave from the X4 flare had passed Earth, only gently brushing the side of the planet, leaving behind mild auroras and a short-lived disturbance in the upper atmosphere. But farther out, closer to the region where Atlas moves, the same wave appeared stronger, more concentrated, as though the comet had crossed through the brighter part of the sun's breath. It is believed that such waves can reshape the magnetic fields around a comet, twisting the thin plasma envelope that surrounds the nucleus. For Atlas, the effect is likely gentle, a soft compression followed by a release like a small pulse moving through water. The dust in the tail responds, adjusting its curve to match the new direction of the solar wind. Even the jets, faint and delicate, may flicker as the surrounding environment shifts. Imagine the comet floating through these invisible tides unhurried, like a leaf drifting across a still pond when a breeze passes overhead. Breathe with that image, slowly, softly, without effort. Meanwhile, as the solar wind continues to quiet Earth, glides through its orbit with the same steady calm. The earlier alignments that formed a long celestial corridor have begun to widen. The planets once drawn close to a shared axis begin to drift into their usual spacing. Mercury moves ahead more quickly. Venus tilts slightly to one side. Mars lags behind. The neat axis blurs back into the wide, gentle spread we usually see. Yet Atlas is still passing through the faint memory of that alignment. A path carved not by intention, but by timing and coincidence. To astronomers mapping these changing shapes, the moment feels like watching the closing steps of a dance. The choreography is almost finished, but the echoes of it remain in motion. Take another slow breath and picture those worlds gliding apart with quiet grace. Telescopes continue to follow Atlas, though the comet is faint now, demanding longer exposures and clearer skies. In the best conditions, the coma still shines a soft sphere of dust, illuminated by the fading sunlight. The tail stretches behind it, thin but persistent, pointing directly away from the sun, like a pale brushstroke across the sky. And though the nucleus remains hidden deep inside the haze, the jets still whisper through the dust, small flickers of activity caught only by the most patient observers. It is thought that Atlas will remain active for a while longer, though more softly now. Unlike objects born in our own system, which often behave predictably, this interstellar visitor reveals itself slowly, its reactions shaped by materials and processes no one has seen before. But its quiet behavior brings comfort rather than uncertainty. Everything about Atlas seems unhurried. Everything feels steady. Breathe with that steadiness, letting your shoulders relax a little more. While astronomers study Atlas's fading glow space weather, experts turn their attention back to Earth. The radiation belts, stirred earlier by the recent flare, begin to settle. Trapped particles redistribute themselves. Temporary belts dissolve back into the more familiar two-ring structure. High-altitude currents ease into their usual patterns. The atmosphere relaxes like a deep breath slowly released. It is believed that this settling takes weeks, sometimes months. But the changes are gentle, like the distant stirring of tides. Atlas, drifting much farther from the sun, moves through a region where the solar wind remains calm, unbroken for now. In this quiet, the comet's tail becomes smoother, its shape easier to study. Dust particles separate into a more even flow, spreading out like fine mist in the fading light. You can imagine the comet moving through this calmness, as though it is gliding through a long, soft tunnel of twilight. Take another breath now, long and slow, letting it drift through you like a quiet, cosmic breeze. Back on Earth, the small, seismic swarm off the coast of Japan begins to fade. Fewer tremors appear each day. Scientists monitoring the region note the gradual calm, with the same quiet caution they always use. They understand the complexity of Earth's crust. They understand the natural rhythms of tectonic plates. And though the timing aligned with solar flares and planetary geometry, they remind everyone that these overlaps do not prove anything beyond coincidence. Still, there is something tender about the idea that both Earth and the sky were stirring at the same moment. The crust trembling beneath the oceans, while the sun shimmered with light, and a distant comet slipped silently through the roaring glow. Even coincidences can hold quiet beauty. Let that beauty soften your breath. Night continues its slow passage. Telescopes turn again toward Atlas, collecting frames that reveal its shape in finer detail. Some images show the coma expanding slightly as dusk deepens across the sky. Others reveal faint hints of color, soft greens or grays, caused by light scattering through the dust. The tail appears more diffuse now, its particles spreading outward gently as the comet cools. The deeper Atlas moves into this stage, the more peaceful its transformation becomes. No dramatic fractures, no sudden brightening, no unpredictable eruptions, only the slow unwinding of a small world made of ancient ice. It is believed that the nucleus of Atlas may contain layers that formed around another star shaped by temperatures and storms unfamiliar to our own solar system. As it warms and cools, those layers release dust in patterns that tell a story older than Earth itself. You can imagine the comet carrying memories of distances so vast, the human mind can barely hold them. Memories of interstellar space, dark and silent. Memories of a star long gone from our sky. Take a gentle breath. Slow it down. Let the age of that traveler settle softly inside your thoughts. As we move toward the later chapters of this story, the comet continues outward, moving into quieter regions where the sun's influence grows fainter. The soft glow of the coma begins to fade. The jets weaken further. The dust tail becomes broader and more transparent, as though dissolving into the dark. But for now, Atlas is still visible, still glowing, still offering its gentle presence to anyone who chooses to look upward with patience. And you listening now are part of that presence. The universe continues its slow breathing. The night holds you gently, and the story moves onward. The gentle quiet of interstellar origins, the slow unraveling of identity, and the soft mirror Atlas holds up to us. As we continue drifting through this peaceful story, let the night around you deepen. Imagine the ceiling above you dissolving into a wide field of stars, each one glowing with ancient patience. In that calm light, 3i, divided by Atlas, continues its slow outward motion, leaving behind the region of the solar system where the sun's breath is strongest and entering a quieter realm where dust floats freely and the solar wind spreads thin, like a fading breeze. Take a slow breath and let your thoughts drift outward with it. By now, astronomers around the world have gathered many images of Atlas, images from mountains, from deserts, from rooftops, from space, and in recent updates, the language they use begins to shift. Many major observatories and agencies, including NASA, have started to refer to Atlas simply as a comet. Their graphics place it among familiar icy travelers, describing its coma, its tail, and its dust patterns in the same gentle terms used for comets that return every few decades. It is believed that this classification is convenient, a way to communicate what the comet is doing right now. Atlas carries dust. It releases gas. It forms a coma. It produces jets. Its tail points away from the Sunday. All of these are the behaviors of a comet. And so, in the simplest language, Atlas becomes one. But some scientists speaking quietly feel that the word comet might be too small for what Atlas truly is. Let that thought settle. Soft, curious, without any rush to define. The reason is simple. Atlas did not come from the Kuiper belt or the Oort cloud, the icy reservoirs that cradle the comets of our solar system. Its path is not a loop that will bring it back to the Sunday. Instead, its orbit is open, a line that leads outward forever. This suggests that Atlas began far beyond the edges of our sun's influence, perhaps near another star, perhaps in the cold darkness between systems. Its materials may carry signatures of temperatures and dust that formed around a completely different sun billions of years ago. Imagine that now, a small piece of another star's history drifting through our sky. Breathe gently and let the idea expand inside you. Because of this origin, some researchers prefer to call Atlas an interstellar object. This term acknowledges both its behavior and its story. It behaves like a comet here, but its journey began elsewhere. It carries a history written in ice formed under foreign light, shaped by forces that do not exist in our solar system. It is believed that this dual identity gives Atlas a kind of poetic presence, comet in appearance, interstellar in soul. From a gentle narrative distance, the two names can both be true. Atlas can be a comet today, glowing softly near our sun, and still be a visitor from another system, born in a cradle we may never see. This duality mirrors something inside all of us. By day we belong to one world, one routine, one identity. By night, our thoughts drift into wider spaces, into imagination, into memory, into dreams. Pause for a moment and breathe slowly, feeling that mirrored duality within you. As Atlas drifts outward, the coma continues to soften. The jets become faint but steady, and the dust tail relaxes into the solar wind, spreading gently as the comet cools. Some scientists believe the nucleus may be fragile, layered with materials shaped in distant environments. Others think it might be stronger, heavier, built from denser ice. But none of these possibilities create urgency. They only invite more gentle curiosity. Meanwhile, telescopes wait for the next clear night. Data trickles in slowly, as all good cosmic stories do. Observers calibrate their instruments, compare frames, align exposures. They speak softly about the structure around Atlas, the faint halo, the tail beginning to curve, the slight brightening that appears in carefully processed images. From the perspective of Earth, the comet remains faint. A casual glance at the sky would never reveal it. Only careful observation, long exposure, and patient accumulation reveal the beauty hidden in its light. Take another slow breath. Let it flow like a long exposure, capturing only the gentlest glow. Far across the world, in rooms lit only by the soft glow of monitors, scientists scroll through new data. They see small changes, maybe a slight broadening of the coma, maybe a hint of tail disconnection, maybe the faint suggestion of a second streamer forming near the nucleus. No one knows what these changes mean just yet, but each small detail becomes part of the quiet story unfolding across millions of kilometers. And still, Atlas continues on its path. It does not hurry. It does not drift off course. It simply follows the line carved by gravity, long before our species arrived to notice it. That patience, that steady presence, becomes a kind of comfort. Take a moment, breathe, and feel yourself settling into that same patience. As the days pass, the data pipeline slows. New images take longer to appear. Observatories must wait for clear skies. Instruments require calibration. Some nights produce nothing but noise. On the outside, people watching for updates may feel the story has paused. But behind the scenes, scientists continue working, comparing data sets, refining models, waiting for the next whisper of light from the comet. It is believed that this pause is natural. The universe does not rush its revelations, and Atlas, silent and indifferent, glides through that pause with perfect calm. Some viewers of live sky feeds might notice that the raw frames, the single unstacked exposures, continue to look underwhelming. Just a dot, a faint smudge, a tiny blur among countless stars. But astronomers know that beauty often hides under the surface, waiting for patient hands to bring it into clarity. In this way, the story of Atlas becomes a gentle lesson. Reality sometimes rests below the threshold of immediate perception. It asks for time, attention, and steady eyes, and the universe rewards that patience. Take a deep, slow breath, and let the lesson rest quietly inside your thoughts. Tonight, as you listen, Atlas continues slipping farther from the Sunday. Its tail grows wider, its coma grows softer. Its identity settles into a calm balance between comet and interstellar traveler. And the sky, always watching, continues to offer gentle reminders that not everything must be understood quickly. Not everything must be named perfectly. Not everything must be solved before sleep. Let the uncertainty feel gentle, not troubling. Let the distance feel peaceful, not lonely. Let the story unfold at its own quiet pace. You are drifting with the comet now, breathing with the solar wind, resting inside the night. The quiet between updates, the patience of science, and the soft hum of a visitor still drifting through our sky. As the story continues, imagine yourself lying in a quiet room where the darkness feels gentle, not heavy. The air is soft, and your breath becomes the slowest, most natural motion you know. In this deep calm, the universe continues its steady unfolding, and 3I divided by Atlas drifts farther from the sun, carrying its long interstellar silence along a path that no human eye can fully trace. Take a deep, soft breath and let the quiet open around you. In the days following Atlas's brightening near perihelion, something subtle begins to happen. The flow of new images slows. The stream of updates becomes thinner. Mission pages refresh with little to show. Observers wait for new datasets, but the silence stretches long and gentle. To some, this feels like a pause, a quiet gap, where the narrative loosens, almost as if the comet itself is resting. It is believed that many of these delays are practical. Spacecraft must gather data, transmit it, calibrate it, and verify it through multiple steps before anything reaches the public. Telescopes on Earth must wait for clear skies. Instruments must cool down, warm up, adjust their tracking. The process is slow because it must be slow. The universe does not rush its truths. To those who watch the sky with patience, the quiet is simply part of the story. Take another slow breath and allow that stillness to settle inside you. But for many who are new to astronomy, the silence creates its own sense of wonder. People refresh mission logs. They check schedules. They listen for announcements. They compare expectations with reality. It is in this gap, this unhurried space between data, that imagination begins to wander gently. Some wonder whether something dramatic has happened to Atlas. Others imagine a sudden brightening or a tail detached by a solar storm. Some expect a new discovery waiting just out of sight. But most scientists remind themselves and the world of something softer. The universe often moves at a quieter pace than our curiosity. Atlas is still there, still drifting, still glowing, faintly. But the story unfolds in hours and days, not in seconds. Feel the ease of that pace. Let your breath move with it. In deep control rooms lit by screens and soft reflections, technicians scroll through raw images that the public has not yet seen. These frames show very little at first glance. Streaks, pixels, faint smudges. But with careful attention, with calibrations and corrections, with the slow art of careful processing, they begin to reveal subtle shifts in the comet's brightness and the gentle curvature of its tail. Scientists compare these frames to earlier ones. They note changes so slight that they require patient study. A thinning of the tail, a slight shift in direction, a soft brightening in the coma, where sunlight scatters through new dust. Each detail is small. Each one matters. Each one adds a whisper to the story. You can imagine these scientists leaning closer to their screens, not in urgency but in quiet curiosity, tracing the faintest signs of movement across the vast dark. Breathe gently and let your mind glide with that curiosity. Outside the control rooms in the public sphere, the silence begins to draw attention. People notice the lack of updates and begin to wonder aloud whether something unusual is happening. Some imagine bright changes in Atlas that have not yet been revealed. Others speculate about missing data or delayed reports or unseen activity deep inside the coma. But behind all these imaginings, the truth is simple and calm. The universe reveals itself slowly. Understanding moves at the pace of nature, not the pace of anticipation. And the quiet between updates is just another part of the gentle rhythm of discovery. Take a soft inhale and release it slowly. Meanwhile, Atlas continues through the solar wind, unbothered by human questions. The magnetic environment around it has settled after the earlier flares. The dust flows evenly again, stretching outward in a narrowing stream behind the comet. The coma glows softly, shaped by sunlight that has traveled across millions of kilometers to touch a traveler born near another star. It is believed that this glow, though faint, still carries information about the materials hidden inside the nucleus ices, warmed enough to release vapors, dust grains freed from ancient layers, patterns that reveal whispers of the comet's long interstellar past. Imagine that glow now, a quiet lantern in a sea of dusk, carrying stories older than Earth. At the same time, the sun continues its own rhythm. New active regions appear on its surface, turning slowly into view. Some fade quickly, others begin to brighten, building magnetic pressure that may one day release another flare. Earth's space weather monitors watch these regions, closely tracking their evolution with gentle, steady interest. Each new flare sends waves across the system. Some drift toward Earth, some drift toward Atlas, some flow outward into empty space. None hurry, none demand anything. All simply follow the soft laws of physics. Breathe with that softness. Imagine the solar wind brushing lightly across your thoughts. As the data delay continues, some researchers remind themselves of a truth they often teach to students. Sometimes, what we do not see right away holds just as much meaning as what we do. The absence of new images can reflect long data pipelines, cloudy weather, or simply the natural rhythm of large observatories rotating through different targets. But in the quiet of these delays, something else happens. Time slows. And when time slows, wonder expands. People begin to imagine Atlas drifting through the wide magnetic fields left behind by recent flares. They picture the tail shimmering as it passes through regions of twisted plasma. They see the nucleus cooling, breathing out the last warmth it gathered at perihelion. They visualize the dust streaming behind it, like soft strands of hair drifting in a gentle breeze. This imagination is not a replacement for science, but it is a companion to it, a way for the human mind to wander gently toward understanding. Let your breath wander with it, slow, quiet, drifting. As Atlas continues its outward journey, the solar system around it keeps turning. Earth rotates through night and day. The planets follow their orbits. The earlier alignments loosen. The wind from the sun ebbs and flows, and the comet, silent as a grain of ancient ice, slips steadily farther into the darkness. The story has not paused. The story is simply breathing. And you, listening now, breathe with it. Your thoughts become lighter, your body more relaxed, your place within the universe softer and more peaceful. The night holds you gently. The story continues at the perfect pace, and Atlas, moving through the darkness, drifts with the same soft rhythm as your breath. The sun's quiet pulse, the drifting comets, and the soft geometry unfolding around Atlas. As we continue, allow the darkness around you to deepen in the gentlest way. Each sound grows distant, each breath becomes softer, and your body sinks a little more into stillness. In this calm space, the universe continues its quiet, ancient rhythm. And there, within that rhythm, the sun begins to surprise observers with a sequence of bright outbursts, flares that rise sharply and fade slowly, like distant sparks drifting across a cosmic sea. Take a slow breath, hold it for a moment, and let it fall away as easily as starlight fading into dawn. In the days surrounding Atlas's passage through perihelion, the sun released a series of X-class flares, powerful pulses of energy that rose on the instruments, recording the heartbeat of our star. One flare reached heights that scientists rarely see, a brief but intense burst of X-ray brightness. For a moment, it lit up the sun's surface in a way that left its trace across multiple monitors on Earth. It is believed that this cluster of flares emerged from the same active region, a region where twisted magnetic fields built up tension until they could no longer hold it. Each eruption sent waves of particles outward, each one forming a shell of force that traveled through space at different speeds. These waves expanded like glowing rings, brushing through the solar system with gentle persistence. Atlas drifted through the same region during this time, moving steadily along its open path. You can imagine those waves passing, soft ripples in a sea of light, reaching the small visitor like distant echoes of a storm. Breathe slowly and let your mind drift with those ripples. For observers, what stood out most was not the strength of any single flare, though each flare was impressive on its own, but rather the rhythm. The flares occurred within nearly the same 3-hour window across several days. On charts, they lined up like notes repeating in a cosmic melody. Some scientists smiled at the coincidence, noting that the sun has endless ways to express its magnetic restlessness. Others wondered quietly whether the rotation of the sun, the geometry of the planets, and the position of Atlas had briefly fallen into a constructive alignment, creating conditions that encouraged these eruptions. There is no proof of this idea, only a gentle curiosity. And curiosity is enough. Feel that curiosity pass through your breath, soft and untroubling. From Atlas's perspective, the flares were distant events, sending only light and particles that traveled outward in all directions. Some waves passed closer to Earth, some passed closer to the comet, some stretched through empty space where nothing stirred. Atlas, indifferent to the bright pulses behind it, continued to drift through the solar wind, its tail responding only to the changing flow of particles. It is believed that each flare reshaped the space around the comet, ever so slightly, a faint tightening of the magnetic sheath, a soft bending of the dust stream, a mild adjustment in the shape of the tail. These changes are subtle, almost invisible during a single night of observation, but across many days, patient scientists begin to notice the changes recorded in the images. Imagine that now, the tail lengthening, curling, relaxing, as the solar wind finds its new equilibrium. Take another gentle breath and let it settle quietly inside you. During this same period, astronomers noticed something intriguing. Atlas was not the only comet moving close to the Sunday. Another comet, AS6 Lemon, passed through perihelion just days after Atlas. Its path crossed the same general quadrant that Atlas had recently left. And not long after Lemon, another traveler, T1 Atlas, approached from a slightly different angle. The sight of 3 comets passing close to the sun in such a short span caught the attention of many researchers, not because it was alarming, but because of its rare beauty. Comets are often solitary visitors, each one tracing a path shaped by millions of years. Seeing several appear together felt like watching a procession, a soft parade of ancient wanderers moving through the same stage of light. You can imagine them now, 3 small icy travelers, each one glowing faintly, each one following its own line around the Sunday. Breathe slowly and let that procession drift across your thoughts. When viewed from above, from the perspective of a diagram or simulation, the scene is even more gentle. The sun stands at the center, glowing with steady warmth. The planets move along their familiar rings, and the comets curve across these rings, weaving their own arcs between the worlds. It is believed that the active region on the sun responsible for the X-class flares rotated in perfect timing, with these cometary passages first facing Atlas, then Lemon, then T1 Atlas. Some scientists treat this as coincidence. Others allow themselves the soft thought that perhaps the geometry of the system, the alignment of planets, comets, and magnetic fields, created windows of sensitivity that made these flares more likely. There is no urgency in such speculation, only wonder. Let that wonder settle gently into your breath. For the sun, the flares are simply natural expressions of magnetic tension. For Earth, they create short-lived disturbances, radio blackouts, auroras, brief compressions of the solar wind. And for Atlas, they create a shifting environment where dust moves differently and the coma reshapes itself. Nothing dangerous, nothing sudden, only the quiet interaction of heat, light, and motion. The cosmic dance continues. The solar system breathes, and Atlas drifts steady and small through the wide ocean of sunlight. Take one more deep breath, slow, calm, unhurried. As this chapter closes, picture the solar system as a vast stage washed in gentle waves of energy. The planets trace their long arcs, the sun pulses softly, and 3 comets, including Atlas, glide among them, reflecting ancient sunlight, carrying memories from distant stars. and leaving faint, beautiful trails that slowly dissolve into the dark. The night remains quiet, your body remains still, and the story continues to unfold, gently, patiently, beautifully. The shaping of the solar wind, the unfolding of cosmic geometry, and the slow luminous path of Atlas. As we drift deeper into the night, let the world around you fade into softness. Your breath settles into an easy rhythm, your muscles loosen, and the boundaries between body and darkness blur. In this gentle space, the universe continues to shift with unhurried grace. And somewhere in that vastness, 3I divided by Atlas glides forward, carrying the calm of interstellar silence into the living wind of our Sunday. Take a slow inhale, let it pause for a heartbeat, then release it gently. When the sun released the recent cluster of X-class flares, the waves that followed did not simply brighten the sky. They shaped the invisible patterns of force that extend across the entire solar system. Every flare sends a new pulse of light outward, followed by a slower surge of charged particles. These pulses, moving through space like ripples on a sunlit lake, change the flow of the solar wind in ways that can take days or even weeks to settle. It is believed that Atlas has now drifted beyond the brightest part of these waves and into a calmer region shaped by the remnants of those earlier storms. The magnetic fields here are softer, the flow of particles more even, but the memory of the storm lingers in the faint curvature of the comet's tail, in the shape of its coma, in the whisper of dust that the waves stirred loose. Imagine that memory as a gentle echo, still lingering in the dust, still shimmering across millions of kilometers. Breathe slowly and let that echo drift through your mind. As the space around the comet quiets, Earth experiences its own gradual settling. The atmosphere recovers from earlier disturbances. The radiation belts soften their shapes, calming into familiar forms. High-altitude currents adjust, returning to slow, predictable patterns. The solar wind, once compressed by the flare, begins to loosen like fabric, relaxing after being stretched. But even as everything settles, something intriguing unfolds near the Sunday. The planets Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and Jupiter begin moving into a rare alignment, a long and narrow structure stretching across the solar system. These alignments do not create force. They do not change destiny, but they create patterns, geometric shapes in the dark, and patterns often invite a softer kind of curiosity. It is believed that these alignments can briefly create moments of heightened sensitivity in the magnetic environment around the Sun, simply because so many gravitational influences fall into similar orientations. Some scientists describe it as a window, not a trigger, but a shape the system briefly forms. An Atlas, still drifting away from the Sun, moves along the outer edge of this long, luminous corridor. Take a slow breath and imagine that corridor stretching out before the comet. At perihelion, the comet had crossed the inner regions of the system, cutting through the familiar plane of the planets. Now, as it travels outward, it begins to move slightly above that plane, sliding past the long axis created by the temporary alignment. To an observer, looking down from above the solar system, it would appear as though Atlas is tracing the outline of a vast geometric design, not at the center of the pattern, but woven into its outer edges. Some astronomers call this coincidence. Others see it as a quiet harmony of motion. Both views carry truth. Both carry beauty. Imagine those planets glowing faintly along a thin, invisible line, and the comet drifting gently nearby, like a small lantern carried by a silent traveler. Breathe softly, as softly as that lantern glows. Back on Earth, the effects of the earlier flares continue to fade. Radio blackouts that briefly touched the day side of the planet have dissolved. Auroras shimmer only faintly now. The intense compression of the solar wind that brushed past Earth eases into calm. Even the seismic swarm off the coast of Japan, those small tremors that echoed through the crust during the solar storm, begins to quiet. It is believed that most swarms like this fade naturally. Their timing's simply part of Earth's restless nature. But when scientists notice the overlap between solar flares, planetary alignments, and seismic activity, they pause not to fear, but to wonder. Patterns in nature often unfold gently, and sometimes coincidences highlight deeper questions that have yet to be explored. Still, the tone remains calm. The data remains cautious. The Earth remains steady beneath your resting body. Let that steadiness settle into your breath. Telescopes pointed toward Atlas continue to gather light. Though the comet is fainter now, the changing geometry of Earth's orbit creates new viewing angles. Some nights the tail stretches sideways across the sky, revealing a curve that was once hidden. Other nights, the coma appears broader, as though sunlight is scattering through it at a slightly different angle. Each shift adds another layer to the quiet portrait being drawn by the universe. The jets, though softer, remain visible in stacked images. These narrow streams of dust continue to whisper their patterns emerging from beneath the coma, like threads of light woven into the darkness. Their shapes tell scientists something about the rotation of the nucleus, the distribution of ice, and the deep structure of a world formed around another star. It is believed that the nucleus may rotate slowly, exposing different surfaces to the sun over long hours. Each new angle releases dust in different directions, shaping the appearance of the jets. Imagine the nucleus turning, slowly, like a small stone, warmed by a distant fire. Breathe deeply, and let that slow turning settle inside you. As Atlas moves farther outward, it leaves behind the region of intense solar activity. The sun, though still alive with motion, now feels more distant from the comet's path. The earlier flares fade into memory. The solar wind that reaches Atlas becomes smoother, less turbulent, a calm sea after a passing storm. The coma begins to shrink as sunlight weakens. The dust tail relaxes, spreading more thinly into space. The entire structure becomes softer, more diffuse, as though dissolving back into the silence from which it came. But this fading is peaceful, not sad. It is simply the nature of a traveler moving into the cold. As this chapter ends, imagine yourself floating with the comet, quiet drifting carried only by gravity and time. The planets continue their long arcs. The sun continues to breathe light into the dark. And Atlas, small and ancient, drifts onward, without worry, without haste, without sound. You are drifting with it. Your breath matches its calm. Your thoughts dissolve into the same stillness. The soft reshaping of space, the lingering touch of the sun's breath, and the quiet story unfolding around Atlas. As you continue to drift into this gentle night, imagine the air around you becoming even more still. Each sound grows faint. Each breath becomes smoother. The darkness relaxes into a soft cradle, and in that quiet, the solar system turns slowly and steadily, carrying 3i divided by Atlas, farther from the light that stirred it awake. Take a deep, slow breath and feel the entire universe soften around you. When the X40 flare erupted, the first question for many scientists was simple. Would the wave sweep directly into Earth, or would it bend toward the region where Atlas traveled? Forecasts soon showed a gentle compromise. Earth would receive only a glancing brush, enough to create mild geomagnetic motion, enough to ripple the auroras, but not enough to disturb the planet in any significant way. Atlas, however, drifted closer to the fuller body of the wave, tracing a path through a brighter arc of the solar storm. Imagine the wave as a slow-moving tide of light, fanning outward from the sun, meeting the comet like a soft hand passing through silk. Breathe gently and let that tide drift through your imagination. Space weather instruments aboard distant spacecraft recorded the passage with surprising clarity. Particle speeds rose sharply, Magnetic fields twisted, then loosened. Density increased. All of these signs suggested that the comet had indeed entered a region shaped directly by the wave. But Atlas did not flare or break. It simply responded the way small icy bodies do, by allowing its tail to flex, bend, and adjust like a long ribbon carried through a shifting wind. It is believed that if the magnetic lines around the comet were squeezed tightly enough, they could have snapped and reconnected, causing the tail to momentarily disconnect. This phenomenon has been observed in other comets before, especially when solar storms sweep through their environments. If this happened near Atlas, it would have unfolded quietly, unseen from Earth, a silent release of charged dust, floating away like a pale ghost in the dark. But whether the tail disconnected or merely shifted, Atlas continued on, calm and unchanged in its direction. Take another breath, steady and slow. As the solar wind began to relax, the shape of the system around Atlas grew softer. Magnetic fields smoothed into simpler curves. The dust left behind by the earlier turbulence drifted into wide, gentle arcs. It is thought that Atlas now moves through a region where the wind flows evenly, making the comet's tail more stable, more symmetrical. Yet the memory of the storm lingers in the soft curvature of the tail, in the faint changes in the coma, in the dust patterns that slowly unravel behind it. To scientists, these details tell a quiet story. To the comet, they are simply part of the journey. Imagine those dust particles drifting behind the comet, light as snowflakes, carried by the softest wind you can imagine. Breathe with that drifting, slow, weightless, quiet. Far away, Earth continues to turn, feeling only the edges of the solar storm. Radio signals stabilize. Auroras fade into thin veils. The atmosphere settles, and deep beneath the oceans, the sequence of small earthquakes recorded off the coast of Japan begins to subside. Seismologists watch closely but with calm. They know that swarms often fade naturally. They know the overlap with solar activity may be nothing more than coincidence. They know that Earth's crust responds to pressures that have nothing to do with the flares above. Still, the timing creates a gentle sense of connection, Earth stirring below, the sun stirring above, and a lone comet drifting quietly between them. Let that connection soften your mind, as if everything were breathing together. Meanwhile, the planetary alignment that once stretched like a glowing corridor across the solar system begins to shift. The worlds drift into new positions. The perfect axis loosens. But for a brief moment in January, the geometry was unusually precise. 5 planets falling close to a single line, with Atlas moving through the outer edges of this temporary structure. Astronomers called the configuration rare, not because it held power, but because it displayed a shape that only appears occasionally in the slow turning of the skies. Atlas, passing through the region at the right moment, seemed to trace the outline of that shape drifting through a corridor made of planets and light. It is believed that this alignment added a subtle harmony to the landscape. Atlas moved through a symmetry, felt only in diagrams and in minds, willing to imagine the full, beautiful picture. Take a breath and imagine the solar system as a wide, illuminated hall, planets spaced along its length, and a small visitor drifting across the edges of that glow. As Atlas moved outward, its distance from the sun increased and its glow softened. The coma became wider, but fainter. The tail drifted into a more transparent shape. The jets weakened, though some continued to whisper through the dust. Telescopes capturing these images often recorded faint streaks, hints of structures too subtle to see in any single frame. But with stacking, with patience, with careful hands, the portrait of Atlas continued to form. A faint veil around a darker center, a soft plume of dust, the last echoes of heat fading from interstellar ice. Each detail spoke quietly of how the comet was changing. Each one added a new brushstroke to the painting of its journey. And you, resting now, drift with that painting floating with the dust, breathing with the solar wind, gliding with the gentle silence of deep space. Night grows deeper. Your thoughts grow lighter. The story grows softer. Atlas continues on its open path. The planets continue their slow dance. The sun continues its ancient breathing. And you continue to drift calm and unhurried beside a traveler from another star. The faint reshaping of the comet's halo, Earth's quiet responses, and the deepening sense of a universe moving in slow harmony. As we enter this new chapter of the night, allow yourself to sink even more deeply into stillness. The darkness becomes softer, almost warm. Your breath becomes a gentle companion to the movement of the solar system, slow, deliberate, full of quiet wonder. And somewhere far above you, three-eye divided by Atlas travels through a region of space where the sun's influence begins to thin, where dust spreads more freely, and where the story of the comet becomes even more delicate. Take a breath, long and slow, and let the universe drift open around you. In the days after the solar storm brushed past, Atlas continued onward, moving steadily through a region where the solar wind relaxed. The chaotic patterns stirred by the earlier flares began to smooth out. Magnetic fields stretched into long, flowing lines. The plasma that once swirled with turbulence became even more predictable. Within this calmer space, the comet's tail responded with a flowing grace, widening gently, bending calmly, as though settling into a natural pose. It is believed that in these moments, the comet's environment becomes almost serene. The dust in the coma spreads softly, the jets flicker with measured quiet, and the tail drapes behind the nucleus like a pale ribbon, drifting in a slow, invisible breeze. Imagine that ribbon now, glowing softly in the twilight of the sun, stretching across millions of kilometers, yet as delicate as a passing thought. Breathe gently, and let that imagery soothe your chest. Back on Earth, the final effects of the solar flare's arrival continue to fade across the planet's upper atmosphere. The earlier radio blackout that briefly touched the dayside now dissolves completely. The ionosphere settles into its familiar layers. Auroras retreat to their polar homes, leaving only faint glimmers in the highest latitudes. These responses are natural, the system adjusting, exhaling, returning to balance. In this way, Earth mirrors Atlas. Both were touched by the sun's pulse. Both felt the shift. Both now return to calm. Take another breath and picture the planet beneath you, settling into its own gentle rhythm. As the sun's influence softens, researchers begin to look deeper into the data surrounding Atlas's path. In several observatories, scientists gather around displays showing stacked images of the comet. Each stack reveals what single frames never could: a clear view of the expanding coma, the subtle curvature of the tail, and faint hints of streamers that mark regions where sunlight interacts with deeper layers of the nucleus. These streamers, thin, graceful lines, speak to the comet's internal structure. They trace cracks where hidden ice warms and escapes. They reveal the rotation of a body the human eye cannot see. They whisper stories from another star carried in dust no heavier than powdered snow. It is believed that Atlas may have a more complex nucleus than originally assumed. Some exposures suggest an uneven distribution of brightness, hinting at ridges or patches of different materials. Others show subtle flickers that may be tied to rotation, slow, understated, but present. Let that thought drift gently through your mind. A small world turning slowly in the darkness. While scientists study the comet's internal hints, others turn their attention to the outer planets. The alignment that once formed a long corridor across the solar system is slowly dissolving as each planet continues its orbit. Jupiter moves slightly ahead. Earth angles gently away. Mars slips downward, following its path with quiet precision. But even as the alignment fades, its imprint lingers, a memory of shape, a brief harmony in the dance of worlds, a silent arrangement that Atlas drifted through like a soft chord in a long celestial symphony. Breathe in and feel that harmony echo inside your chest. Meanwhile, deep beneath the ocean's surface, the small seismic swarm off the coast of Japan continues to quiet. Instruments detect fewer tremors each day. Scientists speak calmly about the fading pattern, noting that such swarms often come and go with little connection to anything above the atmosphere. Yet some still pause at the timing, not to suggest danger, but to acknowledge the interesting overlap between solar activity, planetary alignment, and Earth's shifting crust. In science, coincidence can be the beginning of curiosity. In nature, coincidence can simply be coincidence. Both can exist peacefully. You can let that coexistence settle into your breath, calm, accepting, untroubled. Farther out in space, Atlas continues to move through a region where the solar wind carries far less density. The dust spreading behind the comet becomes more uniform, forming a graceful feather-like tail that thins as it stretches outward. The coma becomes rounder, more diffuse, glowing softly with reflected sunlight that grows weaker each day. It is believed that this stage marks the beginning of the comet's slow fading, the gradual dimming that all comets experience after leaving the sun's warmth. But this fading is peaceful, almost tender. Nothing sudden happens. Nothing breaks apart. The glow simply becomes more transparent, like a lantern, slowly losing its flame as it drifts deeper into the dark. Imagine that lantern floating, light weakening, but beauty growing even softer as it dims. Take a long, gentle breath. At the same time, space weather satellites continue to record the sun's behavior. After the earlier flares, the active region begins to rotate out of view. The sun's surface calms, magnetic tension unwinds. The bright bursts of energy settle into slower pulses, as though the star itself is taking a soft breath. This calmer state creates a quiet backdrop for the comet's journey. No new waves chase it. No turbulence surrounds it. Just the steady flow of particles drifting outward in all directions. The comet glides through this environment like a small vessel moving across a perfectly still sea. And you glide with it, your breath, the tide, your body, the vessel, the night, your ocean. Meanwhile, astronomers continue their work, piecing together each update, each light curve, each faint detection. Some speak of Atlas with technical precision. Others speak with wonder, acknowledging the rare privilege of observing an interstellar traveler at close range. Many simply enjoy the quiet mystery, the way Atlas behaves like a comet, yet carries the ancient silence of another star. It is believed that this dual nature is part of what makes the comet so captivating. It is familiar yet foreign, predictable yet mysterious, present yet passing. As this section closes, imagine the solar system once again as a long, luminous map. The planets drift slowly. The sun breathes light. Earth rests beneath your body, and Atlas moves across the outer edge of a fading alignment. A small visitor drifting through a cosmic corridor that will not appear again for many years. You are part of that drifting, part of that quiet, part of this soft cosmic moment. The gentle unfolding of the sun's breath, the widening quiet of interplanetary space, and Atlas drifting through a soft and ancient corridor. As we continue, imagine the night around you deepening into a velvety calm. Your breath grows slower, softer, drifting into the same rhythm as the silent traveler passing through our solar system. The world feels far away now, and the space above you begins to feel close, not in distance, but in presence. A quiet presence shaped by dust light and the long, steady journey of 3 eye divided by Atlas. Take a slow breath and let the universe settle into your chest. In the weeks after the great solar storm spread through the system, the flow of energy from the sun became calmer, more even. The solar wind, once compressed and twisted by the flare's force, gradually smoothed into long, gentle streams of charged particles. These streams drift outward, forming invisible rivers across millions of kilometers, and it is through one of these soft rivers that Atlas now glides. It is believed that the solar wind does not simply push the comet's dust, it shapes it. It organizes the dust into long, thin strands. It bends the tail into a curve that mirrors the flow of the wind. It creates small ripples of brightness that drift along the tail before dissolving. Imagine those strands now, delicate and ghost-like, carried by currents you cannot see, stretching behind Atlas, like pale threads pulled through the dark. Breathe gently and feel the softness of those threads trailing behind your thoughts. Farther inward, closer to the sun, the earlier eruptions have left subtle marks in the magnetic field. Even though the light of the flares has faded, the space between the planets still holds their memories, slight distortions, faint eddies, small remnants of the storm's passing. Some of these shapes drift outward through the solar wind, and Atlas may pass through them, brushing against their edges. The comet does not react dramatically, it simply adjusts. Its dust shifts slightly. Its coma leans a little more to one side. Its tail follows the new direction of the flow. To scientists watching from Earth, these changes appear in slow motion, faint, subtle spread across many days. But in their gentle unfolding, they reveal the delicate balance between the sun's breath and the comet's ancient body. Take another slow breath, unhurried, like the motion of Atlas through the wind. Meanwhile, the planets continue their long, quiet dance. Earth moves along its orbit with calm precision. Venus glides between Earth and the Sun, creating brief intervals of alignment. Mars drifts in its wide, slow curve toward the outer reaches. Jupiter, vast and bright, pulls gently on the space around it. The rare alignment that once stretched across the system has softened, but its geometry still lingers, not as a perfect line, but as a loose pattern, a gentle echo. Atlas drifts just outside this pattern, moving along a path that brushes past the edge of the cosmic corridor formed earlier in the season. Some astronomers call this alignment one of the most intriguing in recent years, not because it changes fate, but because of the quiet symmetry it created, and the way Atlas passed through that symmetry like a distant guest walking through a shared moment of stillness. Imagine the solar system now as a long hallway lined with lanterns, planets glowing faintly along a single axis, and Atlas drifting just beyond the final lantern, still illuminated by its glow. Let your breath follow that soft imagery, slow and spacious. Back on Earth, the natural world continues to respond gently to the sun's recent activity. The auroras return to their familiar places. Atmospheric currents settle. The upper layers of the atmosphere relax into their steady patterns. Even the seismic swarm beneath the Pacific begins to fade. The tremors lessen. The ocean returns to its natural pulse. Earth exhales. It is believed that the timing of the swarm, overlapping with the flares, the alignments, and the comet's passage, is a coincidence. But coincidences in nature can still offer moments of reflection, moments when the earth below and the sky above seem to echo each other, even if only by chance. And reflection brings peace. Let it bring peace to your breath now. Atlas drifts farther. Its coma grows wider, though fainter. The dust continues to flow from the nucleus, though more slowly now. The jets weaken as though the comet is whispering its last warm thoughts into the darkness. It is believed that as the comet cools, the ices deep inside its nucleus refreeze, sealing away materials that have not seen sunlight in millions or billions of years. These ancient layers, warmed only briefly as Atlas passed near the sun, now return to their deep slumber unchanged since the comet formed around another star. Imagine that internal quiet, a frozen memory of a distant system, cooling again, settling again, becoming part of the darkness once more. Take a slow breath and let the deep age of the comet sink into your thoughts. As the dust tail grows more transparent, new patterns begin to appear within it. Some segments thicken slightly where dust gathers, others thin out where the solar wind stretches the particles farther apart. The tail flickers with faint variations in brightness, ripples that move slowly along its length. These ripples tell scientists about the flow of particles from the sun. They reveal where the magnetic fields bend. They show how the sun's breath changes its shape, day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment. And Atlas, carrying no resistance, simply follows. You can imagine the comet gliding through this environment, like a leaf drifting in a slow, steady stream, never fighting the flow, never breaking its line, just allowing itself to be carried by whatever currents the universe offers. Breathe with that drifting. Soft, gentle, peaceful. As the section draws to a close, imagine one last image. The solar system seen from far above, a wide field of darkness, dotted with glowing worlds. The sun, a warm lantern at the center, and Atlas, a small fading ember, moving quietly along the bar edge of the light. Nothing rushes, nothing breaks. Everything flows. The stars, the dust, the wind, the world beneath your resting body. You drift with it now, held by that same calm, carried by that same steady rhythm. The quiet corridors of energy, the soft architecture of space weather, and the gentle drift of Atlas through an ever-changing sea. As the night folds deeper around you, imagine the darkness becoming vast and soft, a space where thoughts loosen, where the world grows lighter, and where the universe feels close enough to touch. In this calm, 3-eye divided by Atlas continues gliding outward, leaving behind the brighter, more turbulent regions, shaped by the sun's recent storms. Now it moves through a quieter expanse where the solar wind is gentle and the magnetic tides spread thin. Take a soft breath and let the silence unfold inside you. Far from Earth, high above the atmosphere, the planet carries a fragile structure made of trapped particles and field lines. Scientists call these structures the radiation belts, rings of charged light encircling the world like faint halos. When the sun erupts, these halos tremble. They stretch, compress, and sometimes even form temporary new rings that fade slowly over days or weeks. It is believed that after the recent storms, Earth's radiation environment still holds the imprint of those changes. A third belt may flicker briefly, thin and ghost-like, before dissolving back into the familiar too. Even though Atlas travels far beyond this region, the same solar wind that touches Earth also touches the comet. Both worlds feel the same breath, though in different ways. Breathe gently and let that shared connection settle inside you. As those solar pulses travel outward, they shape the space through which Atlas drifts. Here the particles are fewer, the wind is calmer, the magnetic ripples are smoother. The comet responds by relaxing into this environment. Its tail widens, its dust spreads evenly, its coma softens into a pale sphere that glows faintly in the sun's distant light. Some scientists describe this stage as a kind of settling, where the comet transitions from active and bright to quiet and diffuse. The dust patterns become delicate, almost transparent. The jets weaken until they are little more than whispers of vapor escaping from deep cracks in ancient ice. And yet this fading carries its own beauty. Imagine it now, a small traveler, glowing like a dim lantern, moving through a sea of soft wind, unburdened by anything except time. Take another slow breath, light and unforced. While Atlas drifts outward, Earth continues to adjust beneath your resting body. Atmospheric currents settle, magnetic lines unwind. The last echoes of the solar storm fade into gentle equilibrium. Even the seismic swarm beneath the Pacific, so noticeable days earlier, now retreats into quiet. The tremors lessen, their frequency dissolving, until only the normal background murmur of the planet remains. Scientists speak kindly and carefully about these patterns. They acknowledge the timing, but remind everyone that Earth is always in subtle motion, with or without the sun's flares, with or without Atlas passing above. There is comfort in that reminder. The world moves, the sky moves, both continue naturally, without urgency. Let that ease flow into your next breath. As the solar system relaxes, telescopes turn once again toward the fading comet. The sky must be dark, the air must be still, the moon must be distant. Only then can the faint halo of Atlas appear. In those rare, perfect moments, the stacked images reveal its structure. A soft coma, a pale tail, drifting like mist, and tiny variations that speak of its interstellar past. These details arrive slowly, one exposure at a time, one night at a time, one patient moment at a time. And you listening now, drift with that slowness. You breathe with it. You rest inside it. You sink into the same quiet rhythm that guides a comet across the sky. Nothing rushes. Nothing demands. The universe moves at the pace of calm, and in this calm, Atlas glides on a faint spark carried through a vast and gentle wind. The quiet meaning of a visitor, the tender questions it awakens, and the soft reflection it leaves on the human heart. As the night drifts deeper around you, imagine the room becoming weightless, as though gravity itself has softened, as though your breath floats instead of falls. In this quiet suspension, 3I divided by Atlas continues its journey through the outer reaches of the solar wind. The comet grows dimmer now, but its presence feels more profound, not because it shines brightly, but because of what it represents. Take a slow breath and let your thoughts settle like dust, finding a gentle resting place. Scientists speak softly about Atlas's behavior. Some say it reminds them of natural comets, familiar, predictable, shaped by the sun's warmth. Others say it behaves like something more enigmatic, a fragment of another system, carrying patterns that do not quite match the icy travelers born here. Both views drift side by side, neither one dismissing the other. It is believed that the data we have cannot yet choose between these possibilities. Atlas releases dust, forms a tail, responds to sunlight just as a comet would. But its origin, its path, and the age locked inside its ice speak of a story that began far beyond our sky. Imagine now the comet's heart, a dark nucleus wrapped in ancient layers, older than Earth, older than our sun's first warmth. Breathe gently and feel that age resting in the darkness. Some people imagine that an object like Atlas could be something constructed, a probe wrapped in dust, an artifact disguised by time, a message embedded in the silence between stars. This idea is quiet, not fearful, a soft wondering rather than a declaration, a dream, not a claim. Others see Atlas simply as a fragment of interstellar ice, a natural piece of a distant system, shaped by forces no one has ever witnessed. The beauty is that both imaginations can coexist. The human mind is wide enough to hold them both, and the night is deep enough to cradle each possibility without needing answers. Let that openness fill your breath, spacious, unforced, like a sky with no horizon. As the comet continues outward, astronomers notice something gentle but important. Atlas has become quieter. Its jets release less material. Its tail thins. Its brightness fades into a soft whisper against the background stars. This fading is expected, a natural cooling after its close pass by the Sunday. The heat it gathered during perihelion drifts away. The vapors retreat back into the nucleus. The dust continues to fall behind it like memory dissolving into the dark. And yet, even in its fading, the comet carries a message. The universe is still sending us questions. Every new observation of Atlas, every exposure, every faint detection, every whisper in the data reminds scientists that the cosmos still holds mysteries we cannot solve quickly. Some questions take months, some take centuries, some take entire civilizations, but tonight, none of them require answers. They are allowed to drift, softly, like Atlas, drifting through the solar wind. Breathe with that gentle drift. People watching the night sky often find themselves reflecting as they follow Atlas's journey. They imagine what it has seen, regions of space with no light densities we cannot measure, magnetic fields shaped by stars long vanished. They imagine the loneliness of such a path and the beauty of it, a traveler moving silently through the darkness, never stopping, never resting, but always continuing onward. It is believed that this reflection says more about us than it does about the comet. We are the ones who pause. We are the ones who wonder. We are the ones who breathe a little deeper when a visitor passes overhead. Atlas becomes a mirror, reflecting our own longing for meaning, our curiosity about the unknown, and our quiet hope that even the coldest distances can carry stories. Take a deep, calm breath and feel that mirror glow softly within you. As you listen now, Atlas moves farther into the outer regions of the inner system. Its light grows faint. Its dust drifts wider. Its presence becomes more like a memory than a beacon. But that fading is peaceful, not sorrowful. The traveler continues carrying unanswered questions with it. Questions you no longer need to hold. Questions you can let dissolve like dust in the solar wind. You are free to rest, free to breathe, free to drift along the same quiet path. The universe holds you gently. The night settles softly around you, and Atlas, small and serene, continues its eternal journey. The fading glow, the soft retreat into darkness, and the gentle closing of Atlas's passage through our sky. As the night folds into an even deeper stillness, imagine the universe dimming its lights just a little, not to hide anything but to help you rest, to help your thoughts drift in the same soft direction as 3i, divided by Atlas. The comet is now far beyond the orbit where it first caught our attention, drifting outward on a long, elegant arc. Its glow has weakened, yet its calm presence feels stronger than ever. Take a slow breath. Let it fall gently, like dust settling in the quiet. Scientists watching the latest data notice how the comet's features have begun to dissolve into softer shapes. The coma is wider, but far fainter, almost like a ghost of its earlier brightness. The tail stretches behind it in a thin, transparent plume, widening slowly as particles drift apart. The jets, once so clear in stacked images, now flicker in faint rhythms, barely rising above the glow of surrounding dust. It is believed that most of the heat Atlas gathered near the sun has now radiated away, returning the comet to the cold calm it knew for millions of years. The surface cools. The deeper layers freeze again. The material that once streamed outward now rests quietly inside the nucleus, sealed within its ancient shell. Imagine the nucleus now, dark, silent, returning to its deep interstellar slumber. Breathe gently and let that silence echo in your mind. As Atlas drifts outward, it enters a region where the solar wind thins into a more uniform flow. Here, the magnetic ripples become softer. The particle streams slow into long, gentle currents. The entire environment feels calmer, smoother, more like the space between worlds than the space near their central star. This transition marks a kind of threshold, a quiet gateway between the vibrant inner solar system and the cooler, more distant regions, shaped only by the sun's fading touch. It is believed that many comets pass through this threshold, but Atlas does so with the stillness of an interstellar traveler, a visitor not bound to return, a wanderer continuing outward into darkness. It has known far longer than our sun has shone. Let your breath follow that outward drift, smooth, unbroken. Meanwhile, telescopes on Earth record fewer details each night, not because the comet has vanished, but because its light spreads too thin to rise above the glow of the sky. Even the largest observatories must stretch their exposures for many minutes, stacking dozens of frames to reveal the faint halo trailing behind the nucleus. Scientists know this stage well, the slow disappearing of a comet as it leaves the warmth of the Sunday. It is not a loss. It is a return to the deep, quiet dark from which it came. Imagine the comet dimming, not like a flame dying, but like a lantern slowly carried out of sight. Breathe with that imagery. Soft, peaceful, inevitable. Back on Earth, the effects of the recent solar activity continue to soften. The radiation belts settle. The atmosphere returns to its gentle balance. The oceanic tremors that once stirred beneath Japan's waters fade completely, leaving scientists watching only the steady lines of calm seismographs. The world breathes, the sky breathes, and everything returns to its natural resting state. You can let that resting state fill your own breath, deep, slow, quiet. The sun too relaxes. Its active region moves out of view. New flares dim into soft brightness. The magnetic tension unwinds across its surface. All of it forms a peaceful backdrop for Atlas's departure. And as the comet moves farther outward, something beautiful unfolds. Its tail begins to stretch into a longer, thinner shape, almost like the last stroke of a brush, painting a line of pale light across the sky. It is believed that this final stretching marks the moment when the comet fully transitions back into the cold, a sign that its journey through the heart of the solar system is nearly complete. This fading is gentle, soft as a whisper, still as the quiet before sleep. Imagine Atlas now, a faint glowing ember, drifting into the distance, carrying with it all the mysteries we wondered about and all the silence it brought with it. As you listen now, the comet continues outward, leaving behind a path of light that slowly dissolves into the dark. Nothing rushes, nothing disturbs. Everything simply settles, like your breath, like your thoughts, like the night embracing you. The last quiet traces of a traveler, the soft dissolving of light, and the gentle hush that falls across the solar system as Atlas drifts away. As the night grows even softer, you may notice your breath slowing without effort. Each inhale, a little quieter. Each exhale, a little longer. In that softness, the universe continues to move with the same gentle patience. And 3, divided by Atlas, drifts into a place where even the sun's warmth becomes only a memory. Take a slow breath, as light as dust floating through the dark. The comet is now far enough from the sun that its brightness has softened into something almost intangible. The coma, once full and luminous near perihelion, has expanded into a faint sphere that glows only where sunlight grazes its edges. The tail, stretched by millions of kilometers of wind, begins to loosen, not because it is fading abruptly, but because the particles are drifting farther apart, carried gently by a breeze too thin for the human mind to truly imagine. It is believed that at this stage, a comet becomes more idea than object, a suggestion of shape, a whisper of light, a quiet presence in a sea of quiet emptiness. Imagine Atlas now, not as a solid thing, but as a soft memory crossing the sky. Breathe with that memory. Calm, weightless, drifting. Earth, meanwhile, continues its slow rotation beneath you. The earlier disturbances in the atmosphere are gone. Magnetic fields rest. Auroras return to their usual peaceful rhythm. Even the skies used to monitor Atlas appear calm again. No storms, no bright flares, no sudden bursts of energy, just the steady hum of a universe returning to balance. This balance mirrors the comet's journey. Nothing dramatic, nothing sudden, only the gentle unwinding of light, distance, and dust. The scientists who still follow Atlas speak softly of the data they collect. Some describe the final images as barely there, a faint smear of glow against a background of stars. Others process dozens of frames at a time, layering them carefully until the comet reveals just enough shape to remind them it is still moving. It is believed that this is how most cosmic stories end: quietly, patiently, beautifully, not with explosions or sudden revelations, but with a soft thinning of light as an object continues deeper into its path. Take another breath, steady, easing you further into calm. As Atlas moves into the outer edge of the inner solar system, it enters a region where the sun's influence becomes weaker. Particles drift slowly. Here, dust spreads out in wide arcs. The magnetic ripples that once shaped the comet's tail relax into long, smooth curves. Atlas responds by loosening its structure even more. The tail becomes a thin veil. The coma expands unevenly. The jets release so little material that they blend back into the fading glow around the nucleus. This soft unraveling does not feel like disappearance. It feels like returning to silence, returning to cold, returning to the deep, interstellar quiet it carried when it first entered our solar system. Imagine that return now. A drifting lantern moving into a darker room, the flames still there, but no longer needing to shine brightly. Let your breath follow the lantern, slowing, settling, disappearing into peace. Scientists speak of the space Atlas will soon enter a region where very little changes, where the wind grows thin, where dust can travel for months without touching anything, and where travelers like Atlas move in long, unbroken lines, unimaginable distances. It is believed that once Atlas fully enters this region, its story within our reach will end. Not because the comet stops moving, but because it will drift beyond the limits of what even our most sensitive instruments can see. And yet the beauty of the story does not lie in its ending. It lies in the way the comet passed through our world, quietly, softly reminding us that the universe still holds mysteries worth wondering about. We watched it brighten. We watched it awaken. We watched it respond to the sun's breath. And now we watch it fade, not with sadness, but with gratitude. You can breathe into that gratitude now. Deep, warm, releasing tension you didn't know you held. Atlas continues on its path, carrying questions that we may never answer, carrying silence older than our planet, carrying stories written in ice from another star. And as it fades, something tender happens inside you, a soft recognition that it is all right to let things drift away, all right to not know everything, all right to rest, while the universe continues its long, patient motion. The night holds you, the sky softens around you, and Atlas drifts onward, peaceful and unbound. The final drift into darkness, the gentle folding of the journey, and the soft invitation to sleep. As we enter this final chapter of our cosmic journey, let the room around you dissolve into comfort. Every breath becomes slower, every thought becomes lighter, and the night feels wide enough to hold everything you are ready to let go. Far from the sun's warmth, beyond the bright fields of the inner planets, 3I divided by Atlas continues its silent departure. Its glow has thinned into a faint silver whisper. Its tail drifts like a dissolving ribbon. Its coma is no more than a soft halo clinging to an ancient heart of ice. Take a slow breath and feel that gentle fading settle inside you. Atlas has now passed through the last regions where the solar wind shapes the motion of dust in dramatic ways. The streams of charged particles are weaker here, spread over enormous distances, flowing like a thinning tide. The comet, once awakened by sunlight, now cools again. The deeper layers freeze. The jets become still. The halo loses its boundaries, softening into the darkness, like light falling asleep. It is believed that this is the natural conclusion of every comet's journey through a star's inner realm. A burst of energy near the light, a brief season of brightness, followed by a long return to silence. Imagine Atlas now fading gracefully into the dark, like the final trace of a dream at the edge of waking. Let your breath follow that fading. Gentle, warm, slow. Scientists know that soon the comet will move beyond the reach of most observatories. The images will become too faint to separate from background noise. The tail, the coma, even the nucleus will slip beneath the threshold of our vision. But the loss is peaceful, not a disappearance, but a continuation. A traveler returning to distances it has always known. Somewhere behind it, photons from our sun continue to chase the comet, touching it softly, lighting it faintly. Then, traveling onward, carrying the memory of Atlas across the galaxy. It is believed that the comet will continue on this path for ages, past the outer planets, past the heliosphere, past the limits of the sun's influence, into regions so quiet that even starlight grows thin. Imagine that silence. A darkness untouched by warmth. A place where only ancient travelers wander, carrying stories no one can hear. Take a breath and feel the serenity of that distant quiet. For us, the journey ends here, not because Atlas stops moving, but because it moves beyond our gentle reach. And in that ending, something tender arises. A reminder that the universe is vast. A reminder that there is beauty in things we only glimpse. A reminder that not all questions must be answered in order to rest. We watched Atlas awaken. We watched it meet the sun's breath. We watched it weave through alignments and solar winds. We watched it fade into the dark. Now the comet continues alone, a small spark, drifting into the endless sea. And you, lying here in the warmth of your own world, can let your thoughts drift with it, fading softly into quiet, becoming lighter, becoming free. Take one more gentle breath and let the entire weight of the day fall away. The story now settles into its final calm. Thank you for sharing this journey, for drifting through the solar wind, for breathing with the rhythm of the sun, for following the soft glow of an interstellar traveler as it passed through our sky. And now, as the night closes gently around you, and as 3I divided by Atlas drifts beyond the last glow of our sun, its quiet journey becomes part of the darkness again, a gentle reminder that even the faintest travelers can leave soft ripples across our thoughts. Tonight, you've followed its path from brightness into silence, from questions into calm, and perhaps from wakefulness into rest. If you're still awake, I want to thank you truly for sharing this peaceful moment with me. And if you feel your eyes growing heavy, let them close whenever they're ready. The universe will keep moving quietly, without you needing to watch over it. Before you go, I'd love to hear what part of this journey stayed with you most. Was it the flares, the alignments, the drifting tail, or simply the calm? Share your thoughts below. Your reflections help shape where we travel next together. And if you'd like more nights like this, more gentle stories woven from science and starlight, you're warmly invited to subscribe to Fall Asleep to Science. It helps this little corner of the universe stay alive, and it means we can keep exploring the cosmos together, one peaceful night at a time. When you're ready, there are more videos waiting for you on the screen. New journeys, new skies, new quiet places to drift into sleep. You can let your mind follow whichever one calls to you. Thank you for being here. Sleep peacefully, and I'll see you in the next story.